Baseball. Thank you on that, Steve. I want to go back to the Rose Garden event last Saturday where the president announced his nomination of Judge Amy Coney Barrett to replace Ruth Bader Ginsburg on the Supreme Court. I want you to take a look at this picture that we have here. 7 people there, the president and first lady, Senators Lee and Tillis, Kellyanne Conway, Reverend John Jenkins, the president of Notre Dame, and Chris Christie. All of those 7 people in that picture have since tested positive for COVID. Question, Steve, people packed together, the vast majority not wearing masks. How does that make sense?
Well, look, here's what I would say. Tremendous precautions are taken to protect the president. You know, as you well know, anybody who goes to see the president must submit to a COVID test first. And also, there is significant distancing. People don't physically get close to the president, at least people who don't have to. Of course, his family members, some of the security detail, that's a different story. But I think given these precautions and given that he is probably the most protected person on earth, the fact that he still got infected shows us that, unfortunately, this virus has that kind of power, that kind of communicable ability. And the president, though, and he's made this clear, he was unwilling to completely sequester himself, to take no risk, because leaders take risks. And he is the servant of the people as well as the commander-in-chief. And so he said he must be around the people he serves. And he knew that it was not riskless for him to do so. He could have been hermetically sealed in the residence and been practically guaranteed that he wouldn't get the virus. But instead, he took reasonable risks, not reckless ones, but reasonable risks. Unfortunately, he got the virus. And I think what this shows us for a policy perspective, and I think this is important, Chris, is that we know that even the most severe of lockdowns cannot completely stop the virus. Therefore, we should take reasonable precautions as a society, and we should not, as Joe Biden threatens, even think about shutting this economy and this society down again. To me, the most consequential divide from your debate that you moderated between the two was that issue of the president saying, we are staying open. We'll take precautions, but we can manage the risks.
Steve, let's talk about reasonable risk, because there was the debate on Tuesday night, as you say, that I moderated. The rules from the Cleveland Clinic could not have been more clear. Everyone in the audience was to wear a mask. The president and the former vice president and I were the only ones exempt from that. We've got a picture up on the screen. After the first family came in, they all took off their masks. So did the White House chief of staff, Mark Meadows. Do they think that the health and safety rules for everybody else do not apply to them?
No, that's not the reality. Look, everybody was tested before that event, as you well know. Those of us who went first were tested by Cleveland Clinic directly. Everybody who gets on Air Force One for any trip on Air Force One is tested before they get on.
Steve, it doesn't matter. Steve, it doesn't matter. Everybody that was in that room was tested. Steve, everybody that was in that room was tested. And the Cleveland Clinic's regulation was it didn't matter. Everybody except for the 3 of us on the stage was to wear a mask, and people from the Cleveland Clinic came over and offered the first family masks, thinking maybe they didn't have them. They were waved away, and the Commission on Presidential Debates has issued a statement saying, from now on, if you don't wear a mask, you're going to be escorted from the hall. So forget this question of being tested beforehand. Everybody was tested beforehand. No, I'm going to finish my question. Everybody was told to wear a mask. Why did the first family and the chief of staff feel that the rules for everybody else didn't apply to them?
Chris, we believe that masks are very useful. The president has worn them on many occasions, including visiting the hospital where he's now a patient. When he was visiting as commander-in-chief as a guest to visit soldiers there, he wore a mask. So we believe in masks. We also believe in some element of individual choice. People were distanced and they had been tested. Both of those things were true in that convention hall.
No, Steve, they weren't distanced, and there were rules, and there was no freedom of choice. They broke the rules.
I was there. I was there like you were, and they were distanced.
Why did they break the rules?
Those chairs were not close together. Look. Those chairs were not close together. And again, we also believe that people
It doesn't matter, Steve. The rules from the Cleveland Clinic, they were close together, Steve. And the rules from the Cleveland Clinic were everybody wears a mask. Why didn't they?
Chris, the way you're starting to harangue me now actually reminds me of what you did to the president during that debate on Tuesday night when he had to debate not just Joe. No, and he had to debate not just Joe Biden, but you as well. You were not a neutral moderator then. I don't mind tough questions. I welcome reasonably tough questions. But what I don't think is okay is for you to become the effective opposition to the president. Okay, and everyone there was tested in the crowd. They were distanced from each other. People can make reasonable decisions for themselves.
No, they can't. They're the rules, and they'll be kicked out next time. Steve, let me just simply say the president interrupted me and the vice president 145 times, so I object to saying I harangued the president. I know it's the talking point. With the president in the hospital, there's a concern about the continuity of government. Is the campaign giving any consideration, given the fact that the vice president is the next in line to the president, about keeping him off the trail or delaying the vice presidential debate until we see that the president is safe?
Now, listen, we think it's important that our campaign vigorously proceed. And look, the MAGA movement is bigger than just President Trump. He's instrumental, of course, but he is not the only key element of the MAGA movement. And so what we have said is that the other people, including, of course, Vice President Trump, campaign people, millions of regular Americans need to step up and to some degree fill the void that is left, because our champion, our main instrument, is not able at this moment to vigorously campaign, and certainly not campaign physically right now at all. But in terms of continuity of government, the government is functioning flawlessly right now. It will continue to. The United States, thankfully, has vigorous structures for chain of command, and there will be no disruptions there.